All right, next week on Friday is going to be the 24th day of Tevet, Chav Dalet Tevet, which is the day that the first Rebbe of Chabad, the one who wrote the Tanya, there's a picture, he passed away. He passed away. So there's stories which are told about him passing away. First of all, he opposed Napoleon, and he predicted that Napoleon was going to fall, even though it didn't seem that he was going to be. And exactly what he predicted said it to his son, exactly what he said was going to happen, happened. The whole stages of, because in fact, Napoleon defeated Russia. He had defeated Russia, but the Russians, as they surrendered, as they fell back, they retreated. So they burned the cities. They even burned Moscow as they were leaving. So he really conquered nothing. He conquered burnt out cities. And the first Rebbe of Chabad also, that he knew that Napoleon was his enemy. Napoleon knew that the first Rebbe was his enemy. All the other rabbis in Judaism all favored Napoleon. Napoleon ostensibly seemed to be the savior of the Jewish people. He was going to save them from the church. He was going to save them from the Tsar. The Tsar was oppressive. Anti-Semitism was terrible. And Napoleon was, he wanted to accept everybody. Everyone was going to be accepted. And all the rabbis said, this is wonderful. And the first Rebbe of Chabad said that if Napoleon wins, it'll lift the glory of the Jewish people, and it'll be physically, but spiritually, it'll be a Holocaust. It'll be destructive. And sure enough, as Napoleon was winning, the Jewish girls already were, dating the French soldiers. They were already so. There was already beginning like the seeds of intermarriage. Before that, there was almost no intermarriage. No intermarriage. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe, he fled. He fled from his house, and the first thing that Napoleon did when he came in to the city, he was looking for the Rebbe. He was looking for the Alter Rebbe. He wanted to get him, wanted to kill him, because he knew that the Alter Rebbe was his big enemy. So when the Alter Rebbe ran away with like 60, I think, carriages filled with his Chassidim, and he ran away, and Napoleon came to the city of the Alter Rebbe, was Liazne, and the first thing he did was send someone to the Alter Rebbe's house to get some possession of his. Because if he could do it, there was what's sympathetic magic or whatever it's called. He could put a curse on the Rebbe. The Rebbe was afraid of him. And the Rebbe sensed that something like this was going to happen. So the Rebbe sent soldiers back before Napoleon entered the city. He sent soldiers back because he was accompanied by Tsar's soldiers. The Tsar was very grateful to the Alter Rebbe for supporting him. The Alter Rebbe even sent spies to spy on Napoleon to get information. And they found out where there were certain caches of ammunition that the Russians destroyed, which weakened Napoleon's power a little bit. Anyway, so Napoleon went to the Alter Rebbe's house and found that the Alter Rebbe had burned his house down. He had his house burned down before Napoleon. So Napoleon came out empty-handed. Anyway, so the story is the Alter Rebbe reached this place called Kfar Piena, and it was there that he felt very, very bad, very sick. And he was put into, he went into a house and he passed away. Okay. So here's two stories about after he passed away. After he passed away, so they didn't know where they should bury him. But when the Alter Rebbe was, I guess, in his death throes, he was about to die. So they heard him say many times, Hadich, the Hadich, and they understood that that's where he wants to be buried. Maybe even said, I want to be buried in Hadich. In any case, he said Hadich. So they buried him. They decided to bury him in Hadich. Now, Hadich was a long journey from where they were in this Kfar Piena. It was like 100 miles away, a long journey, a very long journey, which would take, hours and hours of travel, maybe a whole day of travel. And it was snowing. It was in snow time. Now it's cold over there in Russia. You go to Russia, it's filled with snow. no, wintertime. So how are they going to bring the Alter Rebbe's body from where they were in Karpiana, 100 miles or even more, to this place at Hadich? How are they going to do it? Now, like I say, Napoleon was looking for the Rebbe, and he wanted him dead or alive. They didn't care. And so they were very afraid that Napoleon's troops were everywhere. They were everywhere looking around. So if they saw him bring a coffin or a dead body or something, so they decided what they're going to do is they got a sled that sat four people. I guess you could sit inside of it. It was like a coach, I guess, but it had rails on it like a sled. It was pulled by horses, and that they would put the Alter Rebbe, dress the Alter Rebbe up in warm garments as though he was alive, and just his face would be visible because it was so cold. It was a thing that was very common. Maybe they would even cover over, the bottom of his face, so just his eyes were. And he and the Alter Rebbe, they would sit the Alter Rebbe near the driver, near the driver, and there were three other people. Two other people came. There was the driver and two other people accompanied, and then they would go to the. And what they would do, they didn't want to leave the Alter Rebbe alone. So one person would sit with the Alter Rebbe whenever they came to like an inn or someplace. Two people would go in and warm up and drink something. Then they would come back out. The other person that he would go in and he would warm up, and he would have whatever is a tea or something to drink, and then they would continue. Well, at one place where they went, two people went inside. They went in, and one person was sitting next to the Alter Rebbe. One of his sons or his grandsons, I don't remember from the story. Anyway, sitting next to the Alter Rebbe, and of course it was the Alter Rebbe's body, was it? And they saw the body of the Alter Rebbe raise up. It raised up, like he was going to. So, no, he said, Rebbe, and he saw the Rebbe was not alive. So it was shaking from fear. It didn't understand what was going on. And he went outside and he saw that under the sled was sitting a pig. It must have been one of the pigs that was running around there. Saw that the sled was a little bit warm, whatever it is, and it sat underneath the sled. So he scared the pig away, yelled at the pig, and the Alter Rebbe settled down. Excuse me. Said, meanwhile, in the inn, or that inn, or the next inn that they went to, the two went in to warm themselves up, and there were thieves that were sitting in that inn. And they noticed that there was somebody sitting in the wagon all the time. They didn't know the Alter Rebbe was not alive. They saw that they didn't want to leave the wagon alone. From that, they concluded it must be that there's riches. There must be money. They didn't want to bring into the inn, but they also didn't want to leave it alone. So they let two people sit. So they planned to rob. They were going to rob the. So the owner of the inn overheard these men speaking, the tavern, whatever, speaking, saying they're going to. So he went over to the two Chassidim that were sitting there and said, go outside. He said, those people want to steal you. Go outside as though you have something to do. Don't pay. Say you'll come right back and you'll pay. Go outside, jump in your wagon, and get out of here because they're going to kill you. Don't worry about paying. So that's what they did. They said, excuse us, we have something to do outside. We'll pay you in a second. We'll come right back. They went outside, jumped in the wagon, and they drove away. As soon as the robbers realized what happened, they jumped on their horses, and went after them. Now, a person riding on a horse can go much faster than horses pulling a sled. But nevertheless, they were unable to they were unable to catch up with them. They couldn't catch up with them. They were, until finally the Rebbe went to Hadich, and that's where the Rebbe is buried. And there's hundreds of Hasidim that go every year. I went a few years in a row to Hadich, and to the burial place of the Rebbe. The burial place of the Rebbe. And that's going to be next week. Thursday night is going to be the beginning of Chav Daled Tevis, the yahrzeit of the first Rebbe of Chabad. Okay, have a good day with Mashiach. Now I'll see you all tomorrow, God willing. 8:15.